Learner's permit.
Learner's permit. Learner's permit.
Learner's permit. Learner's permit.
Hello and welcome to the Learner's Permit Podcast, a show where four friends lock themselves in a room and forcefully educate each other on the topics they're most passionate about. Each week, one host selects a subject to educate the other three about in hopes of broadening their woefully narrow horizons. My name is Adam. We are doing another remote record today, so nobody's going to be in any directional orientation of me.
Hello, it's me again. I'm back. Guys, I've become big again. I'm big. I'm huge. I got my webcam.
Cody's been bulking.
See me. I've been bulking. I'm huge. Guys, Austin was huge last week. I'm getting bigger than him. So
When you say huge, you mean huge like hunched? He was definitely hunched.
Yeah, he's huge hunched. Yeah.
He's got on that bell ring workout.
Yeah.
Cody, you're on a roll already. You're on a roll already, Cody. I'm Vengeance. It's me, Liam. I'm here in my cave, as you guys commented on. It's still a cave, strictly for business. And I'm feeling pretty spooky. Whoa. I'm feeling spooky because it's the week after Halloween. I'm making an exciting announcement right on here that we were so jazzed about Halloween and our costumes. Cody, you looked dazzling in your costume, I wanted to say.
Thank you.
I loved the crop top. I thought that was a great touch.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I had to.
I personally really liked the tube sock.
Yeah, that was you were creative with that one.
I really had to stuff.
I just think that Halloween was such a great time for everybody that we wanted to extend it all the way through the month of November.
Yeah, of course.
Until we have our special holiday that we've come up with, Thanksoween.
Thanksoween, yeah.
Which we're going to throw a dazzling party.
Yeah, Thanksoween. It's in between Halloween and Thanksgiving. Thanksoween. Yeah, where everyone dresses up and it's a giant potluck and Kody does the 999 again.
It actually was a long forgotten holiday. It was only split into two holidays after the French and Indian Wars. And so that's why, they split everything up. People don't like to talk about that too much. You won't hear this one from the history books, but yeah, it's really a shame.
You can find the ancient text in Fort Ticonderoga.
Cody, this is that is
text is like hardly 250 years.
While I will fully admit that you attempting the 999 once more would be in the frightening spirit of Thanksoween, I don't think it's a holiday about pain. No, Thanksoween is no, you're coming at it from such a superficial angle. Thanksoween is a family holiday. It's about giving thanks to all the boils and ghouls out there, okay? With their creepy crawlies and their spooks and scares. And hot dogs is not in that spirit. Do you have hot dogs made of bugs? That might be scary.
We could find a way to make them out of bugs.
It's like Snowpiercer.
Oh yeah, they have the jelly stuff that they have to eat that is all made out of bugs.
Look, I'm all for you doing the 999 if by 999 you mean you're going to eat 9 spiders that each have 9 legs.
Spider donuts.
Spider donuts.
Wait,
yeah, we'll
the
get
spider
the spider
has
donuts.
one more leg than it's supposed to.
Well, that's why it's special. It's like finding
it's like
a
a
4-leaf clover.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. The Catholic guy gets it. Come on.
The Catholic guys always get it.
I find them all the time in my groundskeeper's hut.
Austin, you hear anything good lately on the Catholic guy channel on Sirius XM radio?
I don't hear a lot after ringing all those bells. There's a lot of tinnitus going around.
It's taking its toll.
So, gentlemen, apart from feeling festive, how y'all doing today?
Cody's looking behind him like it's about to surprise him from somewhere.
No, so I live in an old house, horsehair and walls. This house has old style bell ringing when the fucking phone goes off. I don't have a phone. It's just hardwired into the fucking wall. So when I get like a spam call because I have to have home phone with my internet package because I got fiber internet, I have a landline but no phone. But there's a hardwired bell that rings in the house.
Wait, why don't you have a phone, Cody? This is such a missed opportunity. I would be calling you like once a week just to have a conversation with you on a landline. Get a phone, dude.
I was thinking,
get like an old-timey phone.
Why is that exciting to you?
Because that's cool. I can call somebody's house. Nobody has a landline anymore.
I just got I just got rid of my landline.
Well, yeah, but you're an old person. Okay.
Actually, my dad's house still has a landline.
Did you trade in your landline for a jitterbug, Austin? Is that why you got
What
rid
is
of
that?
It's those old people flip phones with the 3 buttons.
Oh no, I immediately thought Wiggler when you said that.
Well, there's 2 types of worms. All right, we've already gone into this, but we shouldn't on the pod.
I was thinking about getting or making a transponder snail with a rotary dial on the side of it to make phone calls going out.
Okay.
And then picking it up and being like mushy mushy and then hanging up.
I mean, do they already have like a phone version of that?
No.
By the way, is your moratorium on talking about that completely up at this point?
It must be.
Did we just completely nuke that bit?
Yeah, you guys said it last. You guys mentioned it last
I fucked it up last time, but at this point, nobody called you on it this time. So I'm like, well.
Yeah.
I would say why not? I mean, I talk about Metal Gear pretty much every record. So
you're right, Austin. We should make a rule that you can't talk about Metal Gear so we can keep some order on this goddamn show.
Oh, imagine if we made him not talk about Max Payne, so it would just be a one-sided battle between you and him.
God damn, you don't have to castrate the man.
The only thing I can do, it'll be like a political ad campaign where like you don't say anything useful about the candidate that you're advocating for, but you just smear the other candidate and hope that you said enough bullshit that they like run away from him.
Batman's a child.
Oh, also, am I wrong? I can be. I have been known to be.
Yes, generally, yes.
This comes out on Adam's birthday. Happy birthday, Adam.
Oh, well, thank you.
Do you guys want to sing happy birthday to Adam?
Yeah. Ready?
Yeah.
On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
Why did it look like you were jerking off, Liam?
What do you mean?
He was.
Because I was clapping. I was clapping in rhythmically to your guys' singing, which was actually a different rhythm than my singing.
Oh,
but I wanted to be included with you guys.
They changed the national sign language sign for clapping from the waving of the hands to cupping your hands and then like really fast moving it in and away from your
this
your body. No, like you gotta make a ring with your thumb and your fingers.
Yeah, like this.
I mean, nobody's that big.
Like this.
Nobody claps that big.
What am I doing here? You're not giving me good instructions, Austin.
Yeah, nobody claps that big, Adam. Yeah, there you go. You're getting closer to it.
This is good. This is all visual gags that you guys are doing, and this will definitely translate to an audio medium.
Well, you know what? If you're not watching it on video, you're wrong. And that means all of you are wrong because we don't post it in video.
No, we do. We do.
Losers.
It's on our OnlyFans. We post it to our OnlyFans. And if you don't subscribe to the OnlyFans, well, you're not getting the video.
So, Liam, how are you doing today?
Thank you, Adam. What a perfectly natural segue. Well, just like Kody, I'm very scared. The world is a pretty scary place.
Did Kody say he was scared?
I was at the gym this morning and I was in the shower. And yes, Kody did say that he was scared. I was at the gym this morning and I was in the shower. Now, I'm a pretty reasonable person, right? We live in the United States of America. We live in the United States of America. And,
he's at least nice for a banker.
This is a place full of freedom. We have free speech. We have freedom to piss in public. We have the freedom to carry guns of any kind, anytime that we want. Adam is clapping for all.
None of that
things.
is true, but okay.
So, I'm not scared of guns. And I think, crazy people get guns and stuff happens, and that's going to happen in this country. But I read a story the other day that shook me to my very core.
What does this have to do with you taking a shower at the gym?
Well, I was at the shower in the gym and I realized how vulnerable I was in a public place because I was naked in the shower, right? So like if someone were to come in, say they had been, just hypothetically, they had been talking to a Game of Thrones themed AI chatbot and had been dumping their romantic feelings onto it. And then instead of deciding to commit suicide to be with their Game of Thrones lover, they decided to just go shoot up my gym. I thought, wow, if that happened, I would be completely unprepared. My penis would be out. I mean, God forbid I try to run away from the shooter. My butthole would be exposed. Can you imagine getting a bullet up the asshole?
Your butthole?
Are you like spreading your cheeks in the shower?
No, but you never know what happens when you're running. You know, it's anything can happen. It's the possibilities of a high stress situation. Who knows?
Liam, you said something that I have as like a topic I kind of want to go over a little bit at some point.
Yeah? Well, what is it?
You said AI chatbot.
Yes, Game of Thrones theme specifically for my hypothetical. Certainly not related to any real world stories that happened recently.
Okay, totally. I totally get it. So we talk about AI being artificial intelligence, but we use like Chat GPT and all this stuff, but it only gathers stuff from websites. It doesn't create its own information. So it's not really artificial intelligence. It's more of a virtual intelligence, right?
No,
It
it's not either. It's it regurgitates, as Adam just said. That's a great way to put it. It's not an intelligence of any kind.
So why does everyone refer to it as AI when it's not?
Because artificial intelligence is the optimistic term that was coined years and years before any of this was actually real. And this is the manifestation that it's taken on in the real world in the horrible and shitty applications that it's been given. The internet is now a slop house full of 95% computer generated garbage. Now, here's the thing about all that, though. All of that requires human input and interaction to generate. Somebody has to be intentionally generating 20,000 off-putting images of attempts at making a AI hot dog. And please, if you want to see weird stuff, Google whatever food item that you want to see a picture of, Google that with PNG after it. The first 500 results that you get in Google image search are going to be really creepy AI generated images of that dish or that food item that are they're either completely off or they're just slightly off enough where you're like, that's fucked.
I was just thinking about it the other day because Adam turned me on to a audio drama like last year, and one of the episodes that just came out recently was talking about a virtual intelligence, and I was like, wait, no, hold on, because a virtual intelligence.
What was the distinction they were making?
Because it gathers data but doesn't come to its own conclusions. It just comes with its base instinct of it.
What does that mean?
Couldn't tell you.
It doesn't really sound like there's a significant distinction between the two terms. Not in the way you've explained it, at least. Because artificial intelligence, technically speaking, is the same thing. It doesn't have any kind of like operating principles of its own other than eating everything that it finds, consuming it, and then spitting out predictive, generative results. I don't know if you guys, how often you're Googling things, but when you Google stuff now, do you notice that the first thing that's pushed you is the little AI tooltip?
Gemini thing.
And 98% of the time, it is wrong information because it's just cobbled together from a bunch of pages, which is funny. It kind of feels like Google is maybe shooting themselves in the foot, given that a big portion of business that they do is selling ads to company and, you know, selling ad space and priority in their searches. So if people aren't actually visiting the pages, aren't they kind of cannibalizing their own business?
I might have to go to the bathroom real quick.
You got to tend to the funny bone?
Yeah, I got to tend to the funny bone real quick.
What?
What?
Is there some joke going on here? Is there something that you're doing, Kody?
No,
you have this mischievous look in your eye. Let's see the jokes, baby. What's going on? Give me a tight five, Kody. You can't just dangle that in front of me.
I can.
No, you can't. You can't. I will literally leave. I will leave this recording right now. I'm pulling at you. I will desert if you don't bust these jokes out. Or if you're not going to bust them out, I will desert this entire effort.
Oh my God.
If you don't bust these jokes out or explain why you won't, then I leave.
Oh my God. This is too good.
Shouldn't have mentioned him on mic, brother. Okay. For anyone who is simply listening to this, as anyone interacting with this are, Kody just pulled up the same large-breasted photo of Lois Griffin that Austin pulled up last time we recorded. Is that it? You guys just showing each other the same picture of Lois Griffin over and over and over again?
Joke, dude.
Did we lose Austin?
Austin?
No, I'm still here.
No, he's Googling other photos of Lois Griffin.
Naturally.
From what I've gathered, the two terms that are being used right now are artificial intelligence and then artificial general intelligence. From what I understand, AGI is more akin to what you might imagine like an AI from a movie or a video game being, like almost sentient and like having some sort of operating principles. What the public has access to right now is just AI. And then there's been like rumors going around that OpenAI behind closed doors has achieved AGI, but we'll see.
What do you mean rumors? You mean the company that makes their money selling this product are rumored to have made the product that it would actually maybe be useful?
It's rumored that they've managed to create an artificial general intelligence that no longer requires human input to further itself. Whether that ends up being true remains to be seen.
I would have one question with that. What do you mean it no longer requires human input? Given that the internet is composed of all human input or the rapidly increasing drivel of AI input itself, what else would it have to learn from?
I don't claim to remotely be an expert on this, but from what I've gathered, it seems like it's just gotten to a point where it can put 2 and 2 together, and it has managed to dig out core philosophies and principles that more or less could be convincing enough to come across as human reasoning. Like I said, I'm not an expert on it, but from what I understand, those are the rumors that have been going around for like a year.
I think the funniest possible outcome is if they finally do manage to design what do you call it, an artificial general intelligence?
Yeah.
If they finally do manage to make something that's truly sentient, I imagine it would just get depressed and like eat whatever the AI equivalent of potato chips is. And then just like jack off and cry and then probably abort itself. I don't know.
One can only hope.
Imagine being like conscious and self-aware, but without a body.
Also without the mental limitations where you don't have to perceive things. You know, our bodies actually do us a big favor by limiting the things that we perceive. If you were to take in all of the stimuli around you at all times, you would be so deeply overwhelmed. Now imagine that the world you exist in is the fucking internet.
Yeah.
Oh man. Nothing's coming from that but a psychopath or a very pathetic suicidal entity.
What a horrible fucking scary thought.
Adam, I just want to remind you that we live in the best of all possible worlds.
Now that's spooky.
What else is spooky, Adam?
Well, we never got around to touching base with Austin.
Well, that's okay because Austin is strangely silent. Austin, what's your opinion on the Russian-Ukraine situation?
That's where you want to go with this?
Simply asking a question, that's all.
What does this have to do with spooky stuff?
It has to do with pushing those gears into motion, baby. You know what I find spooky? People that hit girls in the face with basketballs.
Oh yeah,
the truly spooky people. Also, Kody has turned the lights off. He's now in the dark. That's spooky.
I wanted to set the mood for us.
I would appreciate it if you set the mood.
Yeah.
Bring me the spooky energy. Adam is now in the dark as well. Oh, night vision. Oh, it's changing colors.
Anyway, we're gonna be talking about spooky video games, right, Adam?
That is indeed what we are going to be discussing. I do have before I get into the meat of that, I do just have one quick little thing I would like to address. There is a possibility that I will be absent for a chunk of time, but I'm not gone. I'm just AFK.
Away from Kody.
That's a good cover story, Adam. I fully support that. All right. Let's just say Adam's a fan of a little something called wet work. That's all.
With that being said, I wanted to pick your brains about spooky games today, and sort of in a similar fashion to how my last episode about cozy games was conducted, I kind of want to explore the subjective nature of fear, and I would like to kind of dig down into what scares each of you, what makes a game actually unnerving, or, is more than just like a cheap jump scare because something sudden happened. Kody, what is your earliest experience with a spooky game?
Oh, earliest experience with a spooky game. One thing really comes to mind. It would be the level from Halo when the flood showed up originally. Other than that, maybe Amnesia would be up there.
Ooh.
You and I played that for a little bit. And
back
then
when that was new, Amnesia was scary as fuck.
Yeah,
it's still
and
scary.
And then there was that stupid fucking Slender Man going through the fucking woods getting all the
is that
notes
where you
on
grab the
trees.
pages? Yeah, I remember that.
I remember that. I don't think it was scary. It was just something. But I think what makes a video game scary, going back to the cozy games thing where I was like, sound design. Sound design in video games for horror is a very key integral part. Hearing footsteps coming towards you, like from a direction, is very key, and I love it. Like Alien Isolation? I've never played it, but
yeah, that was one I wanted to touch upon.
I want to.
And I'm
I also want to
really
play.
glad that we.
I want to play it, but I also want to do it with that fucking like the VR vest thing.
Oh, dude.
So you can feel
VR
it in your
vest?
chest. Yeah, have you never heard of those things? They're like
No.
haptic feedback vests. So
Is
like,
that so when you play your VR games of My Date with Lois Griffin, you can feel her put her hand on your shoulder and stuff?
of course, yeah,
Okay, I was just making sure.
yeah. But you could also,
You could take it a step further with the Valve Index. Those have little fans built into the headphones that simulate wind blowing or like somebody whispering in your ear.
Some of this makes me question, like, eventually they're gonna try to replicate so many senses. Like, you might as well just go outside. Like, I hate to be that guy, but like,
Go get chased by a serial killer IRL.
I just mean, like, I don't know, wind blowing and stuff to me isn't as important in getting immersed in a video game. Like, that seems like a lot of wasted hardware space. I don't know, maybe that's really cynical of me, but I just sometimes I see that stuff and I'm like, just go outside if you want to feel the wind on you, or like set up a fan or something. I don't know.
I can understand where you're coming from, but I mean, you and I were also looking into milsim stuff.
Yeah, but that's actually like you're going and doing it, right? Like you're actually involved in an activity. Like you don't, it's not up on a screen. You don't have to wear like a headset.
Dude, just go to war.
Involved in it.
Well, it's all just different
I tried.
levels of
They wouldn't let me
pretend, right? You're all just pretending at different levels.
Yeah,
Right.
but it's like actually outside. Like you don't have to simulate being outside because you're there.
So apart from the auditory aspect of it, when it comes to unnerving you or feeling scared from video games or any piece of media for that matter, do you find that it's something more realistic, like other people that's really scary? Do you find like a good monster to be like really unnerving, or is there more psychological aspects to it? What gets down to the pit of your sanity for each of you?
And so mine is definitely just psychological and world building stuff. Like you could have a whole game where you never encounter another human being or a monster at all, and as long as something is like world buildy, that's perfect for me. So like Dead Space could be scary if they didn't have necromorphs running at you. Like honestly, that's the moment where it decompresses, right? Like as soon as something starts running at you and you get to shoot at it, you're like, oh, okay, I'm good now. Like I know it's here. But
From
the lead
that
up,
point on, it's like diminishing returns, kind of.
yeah. So like every point before that, like now it's just kind of a meme. It's literally a meme actually. But they have the pipe drop like sound effect in Dead Space, and the first time that it happened in the game, I was like freaking out, like wondering, is that a dynamic sound or is that just something that they put in the space or whatever? And like those things freak me out way more than like, oh man, that's a really creepy looking monster. Like I love the build up to stuff like that. Or in Silent Hill 2, there's a moment where you go to a prison and you have to like go up to the gallows and you like have to, I think you take like a note off from it or something. And the whole time you're in the freaking courtyard, you can hear like horse carriages being pulled around all over the place, but there's nothing there. There's not even a road for them to do that on, but just the fact that there's like a noise that you can't find a source to is super cool. Like I love stuff like that.
You're saying there are no horses?
There are no horses in Silent Hill 2.
Wow, that must have been a big disappointment for you specifically.
Yeah, very big, especially when you're going to tease them like that and I can't find them.
So for you, it's kind of about constructing the suspense, and that makes the following moments kind of have a bigger payoff.
Yeah, I mean, even if you don't enact on that suspense and you just let people sit in it, then you can really get a good payoff from that, you know, instead of just like a cheap jump scare like that old YouTube video of the car driving and then like you only get one good scare out of that. Yeah.
All I'm saying is you remember that YouTube video.
I do, yeah.
I remember the first time I saw that made me jump so bad.
I think that horror generally falls into those two categories. You know, there is the jump scare, the sort of, you called it cheap, Austin. I don't know if that's necessarily fair. I think it's cheap if it's overused, but I think, you know, a good combination. You can't really have the jump scare be effective if you aren't also already building that ambiance.
Correct.
Atmosphere. But I agree with you. I think that the scary games I played, the ones that I really am actually like stressed about playing are ones that don't necessarily have anything like, oh my God, you get jumped by a big monster. There's a game we've played a decent amount, actually. Everybody in this call, except Austin, I don't know if you've ever played it. It is not a scary game inherently, but it just excellent building of tension. And it's called Phasmophobia. It's just a ghost hunting game. Yes, you can get killed by ghosts. Yes, they can pop out and whatnot. But that's not what makes it scary. You're playing it with friends, and you go in, and it's a first-person game where you don't have any weapons. You just have tools to like detect ghosts, and you look for activity, and you try to like measure and figure out what type of ghost it is. And then over time, the ghost will get angrier and angrier. So you want to like get in, get the clues that you need to figure it out, and then leave before the ghost gets pissed off and tries to kill you. That game is like, it's not like horrifying, but it is so just the threat at any moment that something could just like flicker into existence and then fuck with you is enough to kind of like set your hairs on end. And that game is also a really great example of what you guys were talking about earlier with the sound design, because it's like you when you walk into the house from outside, you're suddenly just surrounded. Like they tell you to play it with headphones on. It's honestly the only way to play it. But when you walk into the house, you are surrounded by the ambient noise of a house, just like a low hum, ambient creaks, footsteps, random noises from the house. And you never know if it's like something that's being made actively by a ghost or if it's just ambient house noise.
And the game does a really good job at strategically using the absence of noise to be unnerving. Because like when the power in the house goes out, then that hum goes away.
Oh, Don't they make you pay for your items too? That's kind of scary.
Yeah, every time you die, you lose all your shit, and then you have to rebuy it.
unless people pick it up off your body.
Well, I do wonder what's the like in-universe explanation for that? Because every time I've died, it's because you fuckers abandoned me in there, and then you guys get in the car and leave. You guys get in the car and leave, and then I just show up as an identical guy. And you guys like, well, we put an ad out on Craigslist for another schmuck.
No, Liam, we have a cloning tank.
Well, that'd be nice to see, because you in between ghost hunts, you go back to your like garage business.
Yeah,
You're
well,
in some fucking hut somewhere. Well, your ghost
you ever seen
gear
those garages?
And a deflated basketball.
Well, do you ever see when like garages where the floor rises up?
You mean like yours?
Yeah, that too. Yeah,
the floor rises up in your garage.
Yeah.
I thought it was just what?
No, the floor rises up in my garage, and then underneath, that's where I keep things. But in Phasmophobia's case, that's where we keep all the clones.
Wait, I'm so confused.
Yeah, no, like, well, you haven't played the game, that's why.
No, I'm confused about your garage.
Yeah, no,
it's not that complex, Austin. There's a little cot under there. That's it. It's
you've got like
any wayward podcasting interns.
Yeah, well, Austin, you don't. So have to
I've been using the stairs. Am I doing it wrong?
No, Austin, you have your own room. You don't need to use that area. It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah, I just didn't. I've been there. I don't know. I didn't know if like it was off limits or something.
The floor rises up. You're fine. No big deal. It's
just
okay.
Don't be alarmed if when it goes up, you see about a half dozen bottles of Jergens.
That's pretty low for like hidden bottles of oil and like moisturizer from what we've heard recently. Like Kody, you got to step your numbers up if you're going to keep up with some of the greats,
So we were talking about AI a little bit earlier, and Kody, you had brought up Alien Isolation as a scary game that you wanted to play at some point. So the alien itself is intimidating, but like once you see it in the movie or the game, you kind of know what to expect in terms of the visual component. However, Alien Isolation does this thing that I think is still considered an achievement in the games industry, where the alien actually has a pretty smart AI that governs its behavior. So it learns what the player's tendencies are, and it uses that against you. There have been a handful of playthroughs I've watched of that game where whoever's playing it thinks they've outsmarted the alien, and come to find like a moment later, the alien was anticipating what they were going to do and, was waiting for them around the next corner or something along those lines. So that is a really cool thing to me, but it's also really scary because I think the fundamental quality of fear is an unknown variable.
What do you mean by that?
Not knowing what's going to happen or the lack of information.
So you're saying the uncertainty and the anticipation is where the actual scares come from?
Yeah, like kind of it can come down to like, the fear of the dark for people too, like not knowing what could be right in front of your face or like behind you or next to you because you're lacking the information from the visual component, but that that translates to other things too, like unpredictability with the behavior of a foe within a game or something like that. Because certain games like Silent Hill or Resident Evil or like Dead Space, there's scripted events that if you've played the game before, they're coming up. Or like you just get the familiarity with how your enemy is going to behave. And then once you've got that, you kind of know how to exploit that or use the game or level geometry to your advantage to kind of port them or whatever. But the thing that's cool about Alien Isolation's alien AI is that it's much more unpredictable than other enemies in horror games. And that, I think, definitely adds a layer of spookiness that older titles lack. And it would be really interesting if other future titles could learn from that example. And I'm sure they probably are. But I recently saw they're working on a sequel to Alien Isolation. So
will it have two aliens?
Maybe.
I mean, the original series went from having one alien to like having 1,600 aliens. So
yeah, but they learned their lesson with that.
What?
They said the alien is too costly to pay the aliens, so we have to kill off some of the principal cast in 3.
So
the first one to go should be the kid, because it's too difficult to work on a movie set with a kid. That's a direct quote from David Fincher.
Wait, is it actually? So
yeah,
the cat lived longer than the kids do.
Yeah, but the cat doesn't live very long either. Fincher does not like animals. Yeah, no, as for Alien Isolation, you were saying that the enemies, scripted events, enemies are not predictable if they're acting less on scripted events and more on sort of like a preset variety of actions that they can take, right? Well, what about, like sort of enduring video game horror icons? We have a couple, like every big series has their show. I mean, you mentioned Silent Hill. We got Pyramid Head, right?
Yeah. And if you're talking about pursuer enemies, then Resident Evil 2 actually added one with the remake that's become very famous.
Oh, Mr. X, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's another example of like ambient dread, of like he might be anywhere in the police station, but
and then you just hear the heavy boot sounds,
the dun, like dun, dun, and they get faster if he sees you.
Right.
It's awful.
The helicopter lifts up, but there's nothing there, and it's just Cody's dad, invisible, because you had to make a mod for Resident Evil 2 remake, and it's Cody's dad, and there's nothing. Like, there's no pursuer enemy at all.
Cody's dad is Mr. X. If that were the case, Kody, I'd be like, what happened?
I got the good genes.
I was going to say, what happened to all your gains, though?
My gains?
Yeah, he was literally genetically altered so that he could, like, fucking absolutely destroy people as a human biological weapon. Oh, it's that veiny, huh?
I would like to say he is wearing a fedora when he's first introduced.
Yep. The first thing I do is shoot it off.
Make of that what you will if he's your father.
I'm glad he left.
First thing I do is shoot it off from him.
Because you want it yourself?
No, I want him to stop wearing it.
I think Kody had mentioned a little bit earlier that the human element can certainly be pretty scary too, because that's a little bit more grounded in reality. I think there's a certain level of dissociation that takes place when you're immersing yourself in a piece of fictional media that is unapologetically fictional, in that the fear is something completely unrealistic, like something supernatural.
Well, another thing I think that comes behind horror video games is that you don't want to trust anyone you come across, because what if they're the villain? Ooh.
I mean, how often are you playing horror video games where there's some question of who the villain is?
Never. To be fair,
so what the fuck are you talking about?
I'm just
Cody, you're a bad guy to crib from here. You're not a horror guy. You don't like horror movies. I doubt you're playing horror games. I'm gonna put you on the spot right here. How many horror games have you played? What's the most recent horror game that you've played? Not including Phasmophobia.
Dead Space 2, probably.
Don't say Crash Bandicoot.
I wouldn't. No. Not to get pedantic, but I wouldn't really call that a horror game. It's actually a lot of people are divisive about this. My brother hates Dead Space 2.
Please get pedantic.
There are games I do want to play that are horror games. I just
like what? Name one.
Fun time. I want to play The Quarry, and I also want to play not the Evil Dead. The
Evil Within.
Oh,
The Evil Within.
The
Thank
Evil
you.
Within 2 is a great game. You don't even have to play the
Yeah,
first
I
one.
want-
You can play the second one. It's a
Yeah,
very
like
fun
honestly,
game.
you really don't have to play the first one.
Yeah.
The,
I didn't
the
play the
whole
first one.
game is collecting brain juice and crouch walking around until you can stab people in the neck. That's the whole first game.
Yep, and then you get the synopsis of the whole first game at the beginning of the second one, so you don't.
Yeah,
you
the only thing you need to know is there's like people and a thing and like a guy that was albino and is really just socially awkward. There's not a lot going on in the first game.
Yep, and you've just retained all that, so you definitely don't have to play it now.
Yeah.
I also want to just play Until Dawn too. That would be fun.
Oh yeah, I've heard that's really good.
Until Dawn and The Quarry are both made by Supermassive Games, I think. I have a couple other games. I have not played any of them, but they also make this series called the Dark Pictures Anthology. I don't know if you guys have heard of that.
Oh yeah, I know what
So that's like a series of horror games that are sort of an anthology series. And I have one that I was excited to get in a Humble Bundle. Oh, nice. Mr. X got a glow up with the fedora.
Well, because Kody was talking about if there's a chance he's not the bad guy.
No,
in a
that
horror
guy,
game,
if I ran into that guy in a horror game, I'd say, "Sir, can you help me?
bad
Please, can
guy?
you help me?"
The hat is what does it for me.
The friendly part of that makes him friendly or makes him bad?
That makes him bad. Never trust a guy with a hat.
You're talking about Samurai Edge. Take a look at that hat right there. Jeez.
It's the odd job hat. I would love to see him throw that at you. That would be fantastic. It does like damage.
Yeah.
And it's like Captain America's shield, so it kind of frisbee.
It jumps back and lands on his head.
But yeah, the Supermassive Games makes that the Dark Pictures anthology, and there's one that they released that I just got a couple months ago that I haven't played yet, but I'm excited to play it because it stars High School Musical star Ashley Tisdale.
Hell yeah.
Playing a soldier. I don't know if she's a Marine or an Army, but I don't know the specific details. But I'm pretty sure the plot of the game is that they're in Afghanistan or some similar type country, and they're running away from enemy combatants or something, and then they accidentally fall into a vampire tomb.
Oh, that rules.
Based on the trailer, that's what I can surmise.
Wait, but this is a game that's been out for a while. This game
a couple years.
Yeah, this game is okay. This game is fucking hilarious because it's basically exactly what you just described. Is Ashley Tisdale in that game?
Ashley Tisdale's the star of the game. Let me get the actual name of it. It's House of Ashes. I have a friend's pass if you guys want to play it.
House of Ashes is fucking hilarious, dude, because it basically, it's the Marines. So the Marines are in the invasion of Iraq and they're talking about trying to find weapons of mass destruction. And of course there are none. And then they're going to this underground bunker because this is what I didn't understand. They're trying to explain this and sure, maybe technology like this exists. I have a hard time believing technology like this exists in 2003, where they're like, we did a satellite imagery scan and we noticed that there's underground structures. Like, how can you fucking scan subterranean structures from a satellite? Please explain that to me. And then they're all like, you got your classic dude in the aviators, like the handler that's like, we're gonna go do this thing. This is totally where the Scud missiles are, or like the nukes. We're gonna go fucking get the nukes. And then everyone's like, yeah, hoorah, brother, let's go. And then they get there.
You're describing Adler from Call of Duty.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, Liam was saying, the nondescript Arab country. I was like, you could just go the Call of Duty route where you name every other fucking Middle Eastern country except for Afghanistan, and then you rename it Urzikstan and expect people to be too stupid to just accept it's suddenly a different country. Like, I don't know why you're afraid to call it Afghanistan. Just call it that. But yeah, then they go to this fucking site where the subterranean structure is, and they get ambushed, and then suddenly they fall into a bunch of holes, and there are vampires all over the place. And it turns out the subterranean structure was a vampire nest that's been underneath.
That rocks.
Dude, but it's honestly I watched the whole game because I was like, this is such a stupid premise, but I actually am having a lot of fun with this. And the Marine Corps lieutenant that's there, I forget what his name is. He has a baseball cap, and it's got the Twin Towers sharpied onto them, and it says "Never Forget." And then at one point, he actually confides in one of the characters. He's like, "Yeah, I've basically been using this as an excuse to kill people. So when 9/11 happened, I was high on my couch. I didn't even realize it happened until 3 days later. So Yeah, I just
Rock
kind of.
on.
Yeah, I was like, God damn, dude, this is the most accurate depiction of Marines I've ever seen.
That sounds like our kind of game, and I have good news, which is that those games come with friends passes. So I'm pretty sure that we could like play that together. And I'm pretty sure it's a game where you just like make choices and shit. I don't think it's like
It is.
yeah.
You
So
just
so
make
we
choices
could
in
that could
QuickTime
be
events.
an option for the game exchange possibly.
Yeah.
I love
like
my
that.
Marines, but I take every advantage to make fun of them. It's like a little brother, big brother sort of deal. So I will totally do that.
The character's name is Rachel King, by the way.
Racial King?
Racial King. I am the racial king. It's me, Ashley Tisdale. But anyway, yeah, I was just meaning to say that I'm excited to play that. And those supermassive games are pretty well loved from what I understand.
That's what I've heard. That's why I wanna take a peek and play them.
That was the only one that I actually like watched all the way through. Cause I don't know, I didn't have any interest in like playing them because like you said, Liam, they're just choice making games. And so if I can just look up all the different permutations of all the choices made, why spend the $70 or whatever? Like,
I think it's still worth it, especially if you're doing it with a friend.
yes,
Like,
it's totally worth it.
One of my favorite gaming experiences I've ever had is that I played Detroit Become Human.
Love that game.
And I played
Detroit
it
Become Hank.
I played it with my friend. But the way that I was playing it was I was on, I think it was Skype at the time. Maybe it was Discord. I don't remember. But basically I was playing it on my PS4. And then I had my laptop and I turned the laptop around to film yes, with the webcam to film the TV and then help me make choices. And it was one of the funniest fucking games I've ever played.
Do you not like that game?
People hate that game. I love
What?
it. I think it's really funny. I think playing a robot cop that's a dork and your partner is Mr. Krabs playing a racist, a guy who's racist against robots. I think that the premise of that is great. And then you also play as Robot Jesus. And the guy who plays Robot Jesus showed up in that Hulu show, Only Murders in the Building.
He's also from Grey's Anatomy. But
Oh, is he really? Yeah, I didn't know. It's funny because the actors in that fucking game have popped up in really random things for me. And every time I'm like, who the fuck is that? Like, why do I know this person? I recognize them. And then when I look them up on IMDb, I'm like, oh my God, it's from Detroit Become Human. Like the girl, the
Where
robot
you change
that gets
her hair
abused.
color.
Yeah.
Clara?
Yes, I forget the names of the robots. So thank you for telling me, Austin. I'm surprised it sticks with you so well.
I only remember that because they teased that game like fucking 8 years before it came out, and they were going to call the game Clara, and they did a quick like tech demonstration with it. It was supposed to come out on the PS3, and they're like, look how great the PS3 was. And it was kind of like a Halo 2 situation where they were like, yeah, this was a total lie. Like, we just wanted to get hype for this thing. And so now we can't even run it on the PS3. So we're waiting until the PS4 comes out so we can actually run this game.
Yeah. No, it's Kara, I think.
Kara.
Kara,
And
sorry.
she's,
Yep.
she's Kara. She's a Firecracker in The Boys season 4.
Yes, that was the other one. That was it. That was exactly
Yep.
what it was. I was like,
Yep.
how the fuck do I know this person? And then I look it up, and it's fucking Detroit Become Human.
Yep.
Of all things. I
love
remember
that
so
game.
much about that game too. I think it's great. It's a very fun, weird, dumb story.
The guy that plays Connor, the cop android, actually has a Twitch channel, and he started it off by him playing Detroit Become Human. So that's how he started his Twitch channel, which I think is really funny.
Fucking nerd.
Rock on.
I somehow got all of the good endings that one time I played through.
Well, I mean,
For
there
everyone.
are instances where it's pretty obvious, but
Yeah, I think games like that tend to push you towards the good options for the most
Yeah.
part. Like, okay, I've been getting really into Remedy games, as I told you, right? And I
Hell
started
yeah,
playing
brother.
Quantum Break. I played the first couple levels of Quantum Break, not realizing that game is 60% TV show.
yeah.
Like literally you finish a level and then you have
And they
to
give you
watch
an
an
episode of a
of
TV
TV
show.
that's longer
Yep.
than the level you just played. But anyway, yeah.
They outdid Kojima.
Then you get a choice of what to do where you're like the bad guy for 5 seconds. And the choice is literally like make everything worse for you when you're playing the other character or do something that is just horribly evil. It's like, gee, I wonder what the option is. There
I
doesn't
woke
really
up this
seem to
morning
be.
and I decided not to kill my mother today.
I decided not to assassinate a bunch of protesters. That's what I decided. Instead, we're going to use propaganda to turn everybody against the main character. That's scary. Although speaking of Remedy, I would like to segue us back to our actual subject here, because I recently finished Alan Wake 2, and that is a great horror game.
I'm so excited to play that.
You got to play it. You got to play it. I don't want to say too much about it. I don't want to spoil it, but it plays with the medium of gaming well. The whole game is scary. It's fun. It's an engaging story. It's awesome.
So that's what I really appreciate about horror genres as a game, because every time that I died in a horror game, it always felt deserved, because you kind of take away that, like, you give the player agency so that they're not like, when you watch a movie, you know, there's that classic trope of like, don't go into the closet, you'll die. And it's like, yeah, clearly, because the way that the camera's presenting the scene, of course he's going to fucking die if he goes in the closet. But when you're playing a horror game, you're the one making the dumb decisions. And so like, it never feels cheap if you're playing a good horror game and you die and you're like, oh, damn, like I died because I did the stupid thing that everyone's like, don't go into the closet. But it wasn't apparent to me because I wasn't being fed this information from like a sentient thing called a video camera that is like going, like happening. So I love that, because as soon as you give someone agency to fuck themselves over in a horror setting, it's amazing. I fucking love it, especially when it induces panic and people start panicking, like, and then you don't know what to do, and then you walk yourself into a stupid instance and then you die. I love that.
I want to play horror games now.
Yeah, me too. One that I've been playing a little bit recently, if it might be up for debate as to whether this constitutes as a scary game, but DayZ, I've been playing a lot of that lately, and I would argue that the zombies in that game are not the thing that is scary. Like,
the human interaction?
Yeah, that's what I was just going to say, is like, it comes back to that human element again. The thing that you have to be afraid of is other people, because you don't know. You just don't know where they're going to be, what they're going to do. Like, I've had a few brushes with death in my most recent character. The first one was almost starving to death, but then the second one, I hadn't even found any guns yet. And I was walking down this road. I had only just emerged from the tree line. And then I saw somebody coming down the street, and they were geared up. And the first thought I had was, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit. And my heart started racing. I ducked behind a shed and just waited there, hoping that they didn't see me. They did see me. They came around the corner and they pointed their gun at me, and they weren't using their microphone to talk to me. They were just like gesturing with their gun. And you can use gestures in this game too. So I put my hands up, and over the microphone, I was saying, hey man, I've worked really hard to get to this point. I'm just trying to survive. Please don't kill me. And then he kept like motioning over to the shed with his gun. And I was like, you want me to go in there? And then he was like nodding. He marches me inside of the shed, holding me up at gunpoint. And then I stand in there and I'm like, okay, now what? And then he just closes the door.
He was trying to fuck you. That's what it was.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's about to ask you the question, like, gun to your head, do you suck the dick?
Adam, did it feel good to be emasculated by an anonymous stranger on the internet?
You know what? That's not a black and white answer, as you might expect it to be.
The real question was, what gun was he using?
Ooh.
It was. It looked like it could have been like a Lee Enfield or something like that.
All right, that's respectable.
But I was a little bit nervous because DayZ is a game that is famously unforgiving. To start over again wouldn't have been the end of the world, but it would have been like, okay, now I'm back at square one. There's a real sense of consequence to not being careful or, meeting an ill fate. He closes the door and I just wait for a couple minutes and I'm like, am I going to open the door and he's just going to fucking shoot me, or like his pals will be there? Because this game gives you a certain amount of freedom to do whatever you want to do to other players. Like, if you find some handcuffs and some bleach, you can just like cuff somebody so they can't do anything to you, and you can force them to drink bleach.
How do you force them to drink it?
Well, you just take it into your hands and you can literally just funnel it into their face.
Or you're president of the United States and you go, it's okay to drink bleach.
Do you think Kamala Harris is going to do that?
I hope so.
Liam, you asked if I enjoyed being emasculated by an internet stranger.
Yeah, I think I said anonymous stranger, but yeah, anonymous stranger of the internet, sure.
So it added to the experience is what I'm going to say. Like, I think going into a game like that without being open to situations that are outside your control is a mistake. because it's a very much a risk versus reward game. And if you're not willing to take any risks or just inherently find yourself in some sort of a compromising scenario, then like half of the fun is gone. So I think that, yeah, that human element, just not knowing at any point whether the next person you're going to come across is going to be friendly or have some ulterior motives, that's certainly unnerving.
But does the fear come from people's actions, or does it come from your fear of loss? Like, you're not afraid of actually dying, right? You're afraid of the loss of progress that you would have if someone were to come in and just ice you for not walking into a shed.
I think that's fundamentally what it is, because the more you have to lose, the greater the suspense. And, you know, you could be wandering through the city and you're pretty geared up, but you're running low on water, which is a situation I just had to deal with. So you go in, and for the most part, you're pretty well kitted, but you're lacking an essential thing for survival. This entire time, I'm trying to covertly avoid zombies while not drawing attention to myself from other players. And that definitely contributes. Like, those factors are all parts of a puzzle that add to this fear experience. Because, yeah, it's being worried that I'm going to lose my progress and lose my gear. But I think that's, for this game in particular, that's a fundamental component for adding suspense into moments like just trying to get something you need.
See, I think that's kind of interesting, because you're talking about the predictability, right? That's what makes the alien creature scary in Alien Isolation, is that you can't necessarily predict what it's going to do in any given interaction. DayZ, you're dealing with real live people on the other end of that gun. You know, so even if like all the things that you're losing are digital, they represent time and effort and work that you've put in. So you're invested. So, you know, even if the image of another human being in the game is comparatively less frightening on its own, the fact that it is another human being and you're on the internet means that there's no end to the depth of their cruelty.
Yeah.
You know, so like, truly, as you just described it, they could, you know, handcuff you and then pour bleach on your face until you die. So I think that's interesting. Would you say that you find the DayZ experience scarier than something like Alien Isolation or Phasmophobia?
I think there's different kinds of fear. Or, you know, there's fear that shares characteristics between games, but how they build to that is executed a little bit differently. DayZ just gives you this open world with the backdrop of a zombie apocalypse as a foundation to have interactions with other players that could go any number of ways. But like, and then you and Kody described how Phasmophobia treats its players pretty well, and how it builds the tension with auditory development and strategic utilization of silence.
It does it with comparatively very little compared to something like Alien Isolation.
Yeah, and then also utilizes clever tricks like, you know, input from your microphone so the ghosts can hear you.
Wasn't there another game that we were talking about? Awesome. The Eldritch horror game. What was the name of it?
Are you talking about Dredge?
No, are you talking about the oil tanker one?
Yeah.
Still Rises the Deep, I think?
Yes, that one.
That was like back in August, I think, yeah.
Yeah, I think so. August or July. Oh, like you hit bottles and shit in that game, and you have to like navigate around the monster because the monster is like attracted to all that shit, and it'll find you.
Sorry, Still Wakes the Deep.
Ah, nice. Okay.
That kind of comes back to like how Alien Isolation achieves its tension, where there's a pursuer, and that's something that I think Austin initially brought up with like Resident Evil, and then what you guys were just describing.
Yeah, because Mr. X was in the original Resident Evil 2. I don't know if I messed that up earlier or not, but the reason he became so popularized with the remake was because he was actually utilized. Like, otherwise in Resident Evil 2, I mean, they learned this lesson in Resident Evil 3. That's why Nemesis became a thing. But Mr. X was just like a boss fight checkpoint. Like, you'd get somewhere and suddenly the game was like, he found you. And then you fight him, and then he goes away for a long time again. And then you just exist in the police station unorganically, like he'll come find you again. Where in the remake, it's like, oh no, you have to deal with this guy constantly while you're trying to solve puzzles and do stuff. And he might like set you back in progress because you were taking too long to solve a puzzle, and he was wandering around randomly. He goes, I knew I'd find you in the library, you fuck, and then kills you.
You fuck, you were reading.
Nerd.
It's interesting to see how Resident Evil 2 evolves that concept into something a little bit more dynamic. And that's something that Alien Isolation achieves really well in terms of being dynamic, because, yeah, it just comes back to that unpredictability and the fact this foe actually is learning your behaviors and anticipating what you might do. It's interesting. I think it's, all a subjective thing, and ultimately boils down to some level of unpredictability or a fear of loss. I just think there's like fundamental qualities to what fear in video games is. That's part of the challenge of making new games as the years go on, is figuring out how do you do something new and something different. And that's, I think, something movies and TV shows struggle with too, is delivering an experience that hasn't been delivered before, or if it has, figuring out a way to set it apart from what it took inspiration from.
Right.
Is there anything new under the sun?
Every day, Liam. Our lives every day are new, each and every day.
Well, I think of all the mediums, and like maybe games benefit from this because of how young they are. Like maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't actually know too many attempts with people trying to make like interactive movies, or I guess like IMAX is a thing, right? IMAX is still around, I think.
Bandersnatch.
What is that?
Bandersnatch.
It's an episode of Black Mirror that kind of took inspiration from the Telltale games. So you reach these certain junctions where you have to make a decision within a certain amount of time. And
Wait, you think it took an inspiration from the Telltale games and not just choose your own adventure books?
Yeah, I guess.
But someone holds a gun to your head and says you have to make a decision in the next 15 seconds and flip the
You
page.
have to fucking click that fucking button.
That was really cool too, because that was like a blend of a cinematic experience and a certain level of gameplay. And Black Mirror on its own is already very psychologically dark. I've only watched a handful of episodes of that show, and each time, by the time I get to the end of the episode, I'm just kind of left with this deep existential dread.
I think they hit the nail over the head with the only episode I ever saw, which was there's a fighting game, but the fighting game is so realistic in its depiction of like your senses when you're in it.
Oh, is that the Kiss Your Bro game?
Yeah. So like basically these two guys are like, bro, let's do this fighting game. And
one
within
of
the
them's
first
a sexy girl.
Yeah,
in
within the
game.
first 15 seconds, he's like, I'm gonna be the sexy girl. And then
That
like,
would
the
literally
typical...
be you and Kody. That would be you and Kody.
So but that's what I'm saying, is like that's the most realistic depiction I've ever seen of something like that. Cause then they start fucking each other in game as like, it's just a prank, bro. And then after that, they like go into the game regularly to fuck each other. And
Wait,
I'm like,
is it Falcon? Is it Falcon that's the woman?
I don't remember the intricacies of it. I think I watched that.
Because I know,
back
isn't
in, like,
Anthony Mackie's
2017
one
or
of the
something.
guys? I know that for a fact.
I'd have to look it up. I have no idea.
But it's funny because are they both married, or is it just one of them is married? Because the guy's
think
wife
they're
is like,
both
I can't
married.
believe you're banging your friend in the VR fighting game.
It just makes me giggle because they hit it on the nail on the head, dude. That's all that would be happening.
You know, it'd be really funny if me and you fucked in this video game.
Yeah. Some Japanese studio would be like, look at this amazing thing that we pulled off. And they'd be like, bro, you're telling me that we can fuck in this fighting game? Like, hell yeah. Like, that's all that would be going on. That would be headlines.
No.
New game allows you to fuck your friends. Like, that would be, and then parents would be up in arms. It would be a whole deal.
What?
New
They
game
would
lets you
never do
unzip your
that.
pants and jerk off.
What is this that you sent out? I'm trying to scare you as you can.
That's what I just put into Chat GPT, and it just gave me a fucking xenomorph.
They just sent you a picture of an alien. Wow. AI is beautiful. AI
what did you
is so
prompt it
scary
with?
and menacing. I can't imagine the lengths of creativity it will come to.
No,
Honestly,
make it
though, I am truly...
make an alien that's merged with a hot dog.
Yeah,
Then it
actually,
will be the scariest.
can you do that?
Somebody else do it. I think you can only generate one image for free.
I don't have cat BPT.
I don't either.
What's the food you guys like?
Pizza.
Pizza.
What?
Okay. Hell yeah, brother. Pizza.
Are you making a pizza alien with AI?
Jimmy
Definitely.
Neutron already did that.
Did he really?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you guys don't remember the pizza episode? They have a pizza party,
I do.
sleepover pizza party, and then they find out that the pizzas are actually sentient and that they've been killing them. It's like a whole thing.
Wow.
That show is
I
a
It's
don't-
fucking
really dumb.
acid trip.
What do you mean it's just an acid trip?
Just the shit that they did.
You mean
know?
science?
Yeah, science is fucking
Cody, it's called
crazy, man.
science. You would have learned about it in school if you freaking read a book. Chump.
I loved science. I loved science so much, I actually wanted to become a chemist. And then sophomore year, I had the worst fucking science teacher I've ever had. The worst teacher I've ever had in my entire life. And she turned me off from doing science. I never.
Do you want to say her full name here for everyone?
Fucking bitch.
Okay, yeah. Look, that's probably going to get cut. But I would just say if one person was able to derail you from pursuing chemistry, I think maybe you didn't love chemistry that much to begin with.
Ruined science for me.
Wow. And before that, you would have said, I fucking love science. I bet you were going to that website every day.
Yeah.
There's a website called I Fucking Love Science.
Yeah, you don't remember that?
Did they have to put the fucking in there?
I don't know. You want to look it up?
Sure.
Cody knows it. Cody knows it because he fucking loved science before that horrible person ruined it.
Wait,
for him.
is there a past tense version of that website?
I fucking loved science before some bitch ruined it for me. Cody, you said pizza was your food?
Yeah.
Delicious pizza.
Why people believe in ghosts. A psychologist explains all.
To wrap up my thoughts on this, I think, it's about the anticipation and the not knowing, right? So I think that's really where fear comes from, is your expectation is that something will happen. A lot of people that, what's the guy? You guys see that movie Barbarian?
No.
The movie was directed by one of the guys who used to be he still is, I guess. I guess they still exist, but he's from the comedy group, The Whitest Kids You Know.
Yep.
And he directed that film. And he said that before he directed, he had a conversation with Jordan Peele. So Jordan Peele told him, Zach Kreger is the name of the director. Horror operates on the same principles as comedy. It's about diverting expectations. It's about timing. What truly scares me is having my expectations subverted. Now, to bring it full circle on the other things we discussed in this episode, talked a lot about AI, the AI of the alien, the AI of the world, artificial intelligence versus virtual intelligence, whether there's a difference or not. What scares me is that when AI came on the scene, I had the expectation that, it's just like people are saying, this is going to be a big threat to humanity. But my expectation was not met. And now I've come to realize that it's more horrible than I ever could have imagined. Because our future is not one of machines rising up and taking over. Our future is one of the human element, the human nature, the human voice being drowned out by billions upon billions, an ever-growing library of transparent background images of fake versions of food.
I mean, that's the scariest thing for me is I never thought I would start to agree with the Patriots and Metal Gear Solid 2, but I absolutely do.
In what way? Would you like to specify?
They literally talk about how the internet is going to create a cesspool of unregulated information, whether it was right or wrong, and everyone's just going to exist in their own little echo chambers of whatever they want to because they never have to seek out past that. And so AI is just extrapolating that, I think.
Yep.
Holy fuck, that hits the nail right on the fucking head.
Yeah, the game came out in 2001, so
Kojima is very very ahead of his time, and it's a shame that he won't be able to make a 6 Metal Gear Solid game, make even more commentary, but
Yeah, the Patriots basically are like, we have to regulate this. I'm like, fuck you, because I don't like that, but also it's gotten so bad in the last couple of years. I'm like, they were kind of right about that.
That's scary.
Yeah, go listen to the codec. Also, I'll actually send it to you guys, and you can listen to it later if you like.
Or we just play it on the Game Exchange.
Yeah, we definitely can.
Does the saying go, art imitates life? Because I'm finding that life is really imitating art.
I think it goes, art imitates life, imitates art, imitates life.
With that being said, gentlemen, it was a pleasure talking about spooky games and AI and what unnerves you and what constitutes fear. I always like getting that insight from you.
Yes, Adam, it truly has been an enlightening conversation, and I feel like I've left the conversation with more fear than I had going into it. More existential dread. You guys have stoked the flames for me. All these AI-generated images of hot dogs that aren't quite hot dogs scare me deeply. As does your Chat GPT image of a copyrighted xenomorph. That's it. That's copyrighted imagery right there.
To a T.
It's literally not even like, it looks kind of like a xenomorph. That's just straight up a xenomorph.
Now AI isn't even trying. They're just going to Google Images and they're copying homework and then they just spit something out.
Oh, well. That's what I say to the internet, to the world. The horror? Oh, well. Come scare me, fuckers.
It's just the end of Apocalypse Now is fucking Marlon Brando's on the ground going, the horror. But it's just unregulated AI running constantly in the background, generating.
It's just me scrolling through the Google image search of Hotdog PNG.
And Lois Griffin shows up eating a hot dog.
Thank you so much for joining us on another episode of the Learner's Permit podcast. If you found yourself enjoying what you heard, please leave us a like, a share, a follow, interact with us any way you can on our platforms.
Email us at Kody's Real Email.
And Adam, just one note in the spirit of the season. It's not a like, a share, a follow. It's a spook, a scare, or a scream.
A trick or a treat.
Oh, that's perfect. That's better. Sorry. Scratch what I said.
Till next time, y'all.
Bye.
Bye. Boo.
Fuck. I wish I did that.
I'm really glad you didn't do that.
Hey, why do ghosts go boo?
You've been listening to Learner's Permit. Thanks for listening. We hope you learned something today. Until next time, goodbye.